right, thank you for staying in the Monday Report. The discussion continues right now. And before we get into your feedback, there's a lot coming through at Trevor Mbidi at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Monday Report. I see there's one here from Bob Ndolo, who says, can we have registration centers for persons with disability within counties? Traveling from Beta, for example, to Nairobi to register is a mess. My uncle had to travel 2 months ago to Nairobi just to apply for a card. It's signed Bob Ndolo. Isaac, you can respond to that really quick.
He doesn't have the right information. In fact, the truth is registration is not supposed to be done at the headquarters. At the headquarters, we do approvals. Registration is done at the counties. Assessment, classification, and categorization are done at level 4 and level 5 hospitals. So I don't think if he has the right information. So
when he says that his uncle is traveling from Beta to Nairobi, that is not right.
No,
should have gone to the county.
No. Registration is done at the counties, and even the audience are nodding their heads.
So
that registration is done at the counties.
All right, don't worry, we're not attacking the government here, but okay, let's see. Let's see how it's. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Kezia. I'm representing T21 Family, mainly dealing with Down syndrome. And Muheshimiwa, as much as October is for dyslexia, it's also the Down syndrome month. So we also celebrate that and also create awareness. So my one concern is to the National Council. There's a category we've put for the Down syndrome kids that they're intellectually disabled. So probably you need to go back and find out. It's not intellectual disability, it is delayed milestones. And number two, to Muheshimiwa, maybe we can create more awareness in the mainstream schools so that even the teachers know how to handle the kids who have not physical, but the other neurodiverse conditions.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, back there.
My name is Faith Gachere. My main challenge is education. There's a problem in education every single day. I happen to come from differently talented society of Kenya. Every single day I get calls from parents. Where do we take our kids? Where do we take our kids for assessment? In Nairobi, I think there's only one YAC officer. And in Nyeri, there's also one YAC officer who is working right now, and it's YAC officers who are supposed to do assessment. Another major challenge is the occupational therapist said kids should be taken for early intervention while they're still young for them to be enrolled in schools. Okay. Now, you get that nursery school, ECDs in Kenya, you're supposed to have to take your child when he's already assessed. But most parents don't get that assessment when the child is still young. Another thing, ECD falls under county government, and special needs education is under the national government. So you take your child to the ECD, you are told, you wait for assessment, and then the child goes to the special needs school that's near. So you get the child goes to the special needs school when at an age that above 10, whereas the intervention works best when the child is young.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. My name is Cosmas Julius from Maendeleo Walemavu Organization. I'm a VIP. Now, my concern is disability is really a big elephant in the room. However much we can come from different organizations trying to represent and try to articulate issues, I think it's high time that the government and even private organizations that must have a goodwill and also must be intentional. Because we have very good laws. We've really done so many of them, but we don't have a goodwill to implement them. So at what point are we going to wait? Because you heard from Mr. Isaac, we had the one from 2006, 2008, and then finally, you had what happened. So it's high time that we need to realize that it's either we raise on occasion and really say enough is enough, let these laws be implemented and be put in place. Okay. The other thing is, with a lot of respect to the President of the Republic of Kenya today, during the campaign, he actually indicated that we are going to have a disability charter. So how long is this charter going to be, signed into law, so that at least we have something that as people with disability that we are dwelling on and say, this was said and this is done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Back there, the microphone is here. No.
Hello.
It's okay. Yeah.
My name is Karen Muriuki. I represent the Differently Talented Society of Kenya, and I'm autistic. My major concern right now, standing before you, I know most people would be very peevy to find out, okay, I don't look autistic enough because I could communicate with very openly. Mine is to do with tax exemption, especially among neurodivergent adults, especially autistic adults. When you go to an KRA, and when you give your card indicating your disability being autism or any other neurodivergent disability, and it's you yourself, you can be able to express yourself. And then that KRA officer is just telling you, I don't think you look autistic enough. So you're left questioning, like, what am I here for?
They literally tell you that?
They literally tell me to my face, you don't look autistic enough. Because because of the kind of misinformation that is out there regarding to autism, because they see it like, for example, you can talk. They only see, like, if you're autistic, that means you cannot even speak. Yet we have many autistics who can really speak very well, like I do. And we are entitled to be tax exempted. I have a paying job, but each and every time, like, I had to sit and wait until to see whether or not I'll go for another tax exemption, which I've never gone in my entire life.
Okay.
Because obviously I have fears about being turned away because people will tell me I don't look autistic enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll hear what the reaction is to that. Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
I'm Grace Geshovi, representing T21, raising a daughter with Down syndrome. I'll tackle on advocacy. And I would say that I would urge the government to put more resources in creating awareness. Very few people know about Down syndrome. And when I got my baby, that was the first time I knew about it. How I wish I would have known about it through the TV, through the other social media and other platforms. So I would urge the government to really put on that so that no other mother would have to go through what I went through, trying to get my own way, no information, nothing. And another thing I would mention about our institutions. My daughter is 5. She's supposed to join school next year. I don't know where to take her because there are not enough trained teachers to handle our babies. And another thing, as I wind up, on monthly stipends. Can the government please give a reasonable amount? Some of us are full-time caregivers. And I remember at some point I was told by a doctor to choose between my baby and my job. So that means I had to stay at home with no source of income, and I have to handle this baby. She needs diapers, she needs other things. It was really tough. So please, can the government do something on that? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes.
My name is Rispa Kinzi from NeuroKids Warriors. So the challenges I face, I'm a mother of a child who has spina bifida and hydrocephalus. So with the condition, they affect the lower part. So up to now, we are using diapers, and the way they are very expensive, maybe the government can chip in to help on that. And again, about the registration for the cards, maybe to Isaac, everybody is running to take the card, but can you kindly tell us the benefits of the cards? Kindly, we don't know.
Okay. All right. Yes.
Hi.
Yeah.
My name is Mori Sharon. I advocate for spina bifida and hydrocephalus from NeuroKids Warriors. My concern is about discrimination on schools. I can say, like, for my son, he was discriminated by a teacher and beaten until she was almost killing him because my son just took a pen. You see, for our babies, they like colors. So if they see colors, they go for the colors and they take it. So my son was assaulted because of that. And again, to the society, to our neighbors, to everyone who can be watching us, we are passing through a lot. And if you guys keep on telling us, yes, we know our kids normally can't walk, They normally catwalk. So if they're catwalking and you ask us, kwani huyu mbona natembea hivi? That thing, huwa inatupatia the stigma, you see. Then again, I would like to add the government, the caregivers, au wenye wako day yote caregiving, if they can find something like doing online writing, because I believe that if you can do a work, like if you can be given a laptop and watch your kid while doing that work, or let's say like Safaricom, the call center, at least I know some parents can do that, but due to their babies, they can't go to work because of that. Some of our caregivers have lost their jobs because you're a full-time mom in your house, and yes, you can, but you can't leave your baby. Like my neighbor here, you see, she was asked, she can choose between the baby and the job. So you see, it's very difficult for us. And then again, people don't know about spina bifida and hydrocephalus. For the last time that we were doing a street advocacy, they were like, what is that? For spine, at least, we had to say that watoto wenye wako na kichwa kubwa, of which saying watoto wenye wako na kichwa kubwa is bringing stigma to our kids. You can't tell a baby uko na kichwa kubwa. So you see, the government should give us that opportunity for advocacy. Being that we normally do advocacy on September and October, advocacy should not be on those months that we should be doing the advocacy. Advocacy should be from January to December.
All through. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Caro Chege. I'm a mother and a caregiver to one precious blessing. If you can zoom, you can see her here. She's a baby, a very beautiful baby, living with cerebral palsy that she acquired during delivery due to negligence at the hospital. However, we forgave them and we moved on. But life changed. I used to have a business that I had to stop doing it, and my husband had to take over, take care of the bills of the family, and I really appreciate him. Like now he's at home taking care of Precious, and I say hi to them. I know they are watching. Now we have a lot of challenges as caregivers and parents of children living with disabilities, and especially this part of cerebral palsy. As you can see here, Precious is on a wheelchair. CP kids, especially the severe cases like ours now. Our babies can't do anything for themselves. That means a caregiver has to be there 24/7. Like me, I'm the mother, I'm the caregiver. That means that I'm there taking care of her. Mentally, I'm consumed by her. Their needs are high. Their needs are like diapers that she uses, between 4 to 5 diapers in a day. And there are things like anticonvulsant medication that she must take, which means that if in case she has to miss it, like she can get the conversions, and conversion can mean that sometimes we lose babies due to conversions if we miss the conversion medications. So my question goes straight to Mr. Isaac. How are you going to help us? You know the needs that we have as the government, as who you are, where you work for the government. Can you consider us? Can you make sure at least the fact that we don't work? Yes, we are caregivers, but as caregivers, what is our job, you know? How do you recognize us as caregivers? Of which, if you go to other countries, you'll find that caregivers are recognized. But here we are not recognized. In fact, by the way, if you tell somebody like I'm a caregiver, so they are like, which work is that? You know, like our job is not recognized, and we want to be recognized. The fact that we are behind our kids, you know, people see children with disabilities, people living with disabilities, but they forget us, the caregivers. We want to be known, we want to be recognized, we want support, we want to, for us to make the life of our children, of the people that take care of, even you take care of us, so that behind the disability people, we are there. Let us also be recognized. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes.
My name is Alice Mondia, the chairperson of Differently Talented Society of Kenya. This is a group that brings together autistic persons and their caregivers. One of the key challenges we have is when it comes to transition programs for youth with disabilities, and more so youth who are autistic, youth with intellectual disabilities, youth with specific learning disabilities. And this is transiting because of the education system. It all begins with the special units where most of these children of ours are going to. And at an early age, you find that the materials that are being provided within the school system, the support system that is there, when it comes to provision of teacher aids, we find that the sector policy the sector policy indicates that the government is going to put in place teacher aids. It's going to ensure that the materials that are provided to the children, the support system is going to be provided, and some certain accommodations are going to be provided in the classroom setup. But we find many of these learners are not even sitting for the examinations. I know the government has set aside what they're calling the Kilea exam, or the Kenya Intermediate level education. But many of our young people, we find that what is happening now in the special units is we have learners who probably you can find an 80-year-old and a 24-year-old within the classroom setting. And their peers on the other side are more age-based. So we find that all our children are being put together in one classroom setting. Can we, and that has been a key challenge, where you find like a 20-year-old has not even transited. And how do we ensure that these learners are also transiting just like their peers on an equal basis, that they can get into vocational institutions, even when they have not, even those ones who may not necessarily have certification, because I know Kilea is a new thing, and but we also have a lot of youth who have exited the school system, but they are sitting at home. And I know my fellow caregiver from DTSK, Jocelyn, mentioned about issues of mental health. Because what happens is many of these youth at a later stage then transit to get psychosocial disabilities. But how can we ensure that they get into vocational institutions of learning, they get into National Industrial Training Authority, and learn alongside their peers? And that can only happen if some certain exemptions are put in place to allow these youth, if they can be able to get into the institutions within their areas of interests, their areas of aspirations, their areas of strength, some form of assessment, and then they can be allowed to get into the institutions and learn alongside their peers and acquire skills and get into gainful employment, just like everybody else. So that has been a key gap, and we find a lot of youth are not neither in employment, and in young adulthood they are not in school, they are not in employment, and they are at home, and many of the caregivers have to sit at home and provide 24-hour care to a youth who could be able to transition and acquire certain skills. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, back there.
Thank you so much. My name is Leah Wanjiko from NeuroKids Warriors Organization. I'm a full-time caregiver. I'm a mother to a hydrocephalus child, and I joined in the campaign of empowerment of caregivers. As we all know, taking care of these children, it's very expensive. And most of us, like me, for example, I left job to take care of my child full-time because she has a convulsion disorder. So it's so difficult taking care of these children. My urge to the government, maybe if there could be an employability, like if at all you can employ us in a timeline, like I can go to work and exempt some time to take care of my child. Because now you find that when I'm employed, that employer won't like give me time to go take care of my child. Whenever you miss the work for 2 days, you are told you are no longer working here, or you find yourself replaced. So if at all, if the government can find like a 10% working environment for caregivers, and maybe like trainings and capitalization and placing of jobs for caregivers, that will be helpful to us. And like to add on, transportation sector, maybe those people, guys, bus stations, you find that like our kids, most of them use wheelchairs. You can stay in a bus station for like 30 minutes before a bus stops to pick you up. Maybe transport sector, we plead with you, carry our children. It's just that we ask for. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you very much. My name is Mori Anthony. I am a call center team leader at Safaricom and also an MC. I do MC work in the events. So just to build up on something my sisters talked about, is about transportation. I'm a wheelchair user, and it is a pain. Let me give an example. I went to London for the Global Disability Summit in 2018. And the most surprising thing was that I could get out of my room in the morning, sit on my wheelchair, go around town, use a train, use a bus, use a taxi, and get back to my room again in the evening without getting off my wheelchair. That was an experience and a half. I think the transport sector needs to do something. I know currently we are moving towards the EV, electric vehicles, and we have buses that are coming up. My appeal to the government is let's also consider give incentives to the investors so that they can have all-inclusive transport, including those people who are also in cabs. I have a friend who is getting into that area, and it has been tough to get, and he has cabs that are very, very inclusive. So, Mheshimiwa, I think we can look into that. I'm ready to work with you in that area, so that we are able to have it streamlined, so that all can be able to enjoy the rides on our cities. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Muredi. Yes, finally.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
My name is Jamaa from T21 Families. I have a son called Joel living with Down syndrome. And my advocacy, if I could say that, is exclusion of these kids of ours. They're normally excluded, even at school.
Yeah.
In the mainstream schools. You find that the kid knows how to do things. Like, for instance, I'll give an example for Joel. He really likes to dance. So he can dance, so he can be able to participate wherever there's something going on at the school. But when I go, I find that he's not even there. He's secluded. Amekaa huko kando kabisa. He's not even part of the group that is dancing. But when he comes home, he recites the same thing that he was doing at school. And when you go and ask and request for inclusion, you are told that, like, I'll give you a personal experience just the other day. So I went and asked at the school that he was in. I said, I need to do a follow-up of this kid. I need this and this and this to be happening. So in the evening, I got an expulsion letter for my child to no longer be in the school because I am not satisfied with whatever they were offering. And I was actually following up on what should be done on him. So basically, we need the inclusion. Do not exclude the children because they are able to learn. And once they learn, they cannot unlearn. And they have a lot of potential. Yeah? They have a lot of potential and they have a lot to offer. Secondly, whatever we are getting from the government, let it be something tangible that is going to help this child. Isikuwe tu ni kitu ya kufunga macho. Like, for instance, kutengeneza. Let me give you kutengeneza mats. So, wewe mwenyewe ukiwa normal hivyo, utatengeneza mat uuze. Is that a livelihood? Give us something that is going to give me a good livelihood as a person living with disability. Usinifunge macho. Nipatie kitu yenye itanishikilia for the rest of my life because I am independent. I will gain my independence. I will not be dependent, Yeah. So that is that is what we're advocating for at T21.
Thanks, Jamaa. Yes, I'll start with you, Isaac. There's a lot of issues that have been raised here. They're galvanizing around education, caregivers, and exclusion. But there was one that was raised by Faith in terms of education. Where do we take our kids? Was a question that she asked directly.
Okay, there are a number of things that have been raised, and I wanted to respond to them systematically. But allow me to say one thing as I begin. When talking about disability, never use the word normal people. Normal should only be used on a dryer, on a thermometer, because if you say those without disabilities are normal, so where are we? And number two, I'm not comfortable if I'm being referred to a person living with disability. I live with my wife and my children. So I'm a person with disability, not living with it. To respond, my sister that talked about exemption, I'll begin there.
Yeah.
Please don't go to KRA for your tax exemption. Please put your documents together. You know me, bring them to me. Then I'll be able to help you to go through the tax exemption process. And so tax exemption is a process. So you don't just walk to a KRA with a card and they exempt you. It is a process, and I can confirm to you that persons with autism are being exempted from paying tax. You just follow the right process and it will be done. About Down syndrome and intellectual. Why intellectual? You have answered it, that Down syndrome is about the delay in milestone. So under the bigger category, in terms of categorization, it will be intellectual because the delay comes because of the intellect milestones. But the card must have the word Down syndrome, not intellectual. No, the card must have the what? Down syndrome. I was asked, what's the purpose of the card? To be sincere to you, I must be very frank and look in your eyes and tell you that a card, it's called an identification card. It's not an ATM, okay? It's an identification card. So the major thing is that that card is to identify your child, that he is a child with a disability. But that card will now help you when you come to ask for any other services and any other benefits. For you to get services, you will require that a card. About education, still, where should your child go? From where we sit as a council, assessment and placement is a function of the IAC. So let the IAC do their work, they assess and place the child to the school, that the IAC know that it has the right personnel, it has the right teachers to handle that. On the cash transfer program, even before we ask that we need more, from where I sit, we need to expand to have very many beneficiaries. Before we add money to those who are receiving, we need to add the numbers first. Because Mheshimiwa is here, from 48,000 households, we are now increasing to around 96,000 households. The elderly are 1 million households. Okay, so we need to have the numbers. And then maybe on awareness. Okay, who should create the awareness?
Everyone.
From where I sit, don't wait for the government to do the awareness. Awareness begins with you. It's you to raise that awareness, then the government will come and support you to push the agenda. Lastly is on employment, which for me, I agree. And I think some private sector began doing that. That, you know, the law talks about employment of persons with disabilities. I said, even if we need to have employment for caregivers, my question still remains, under which law? So we need to put in place structures that can be able to support us. Lastly, because you said this will be like our last words,
yeah.
For parents and caregivers. My mother, she didn't have a disability. But one thing she never did in my entire life, she never presented me as a burden. No. She never presented me as a burden. She always spoke hope in my life. She never said that I'll never be independent. She spoke hope, and she believed that one day I'll be independent and I am what I am. So my appeal is, even if you're having a child with cerebral palsy, an adult who has never woken up from that bed, government has done access to government procurement opportunities. Caregivers and the parents wake up. Open a company for this young girl, young man. Be there with a support system. Be an enabler. That child, you say that she will never buy a vehicle. Through a procurement, you can be shocked. That child can buy a vehicle for you, and you can drive. God bless you.
All right. And that's a very important aspect to bring out, because there is the 30% of access to government procurement opportunities under the AGPO law, which allows persons living disability, youth and women to be given 30% of all procurement across board, from the national government to the county governments. And I can assure you, PWDs don't have enough companies. That one I'm sure 100%. I can say that without any doubt. But when Muya, you were also coming in, there was an issue that Isaac raised, that under which law? So it means there's also a gap when it comes to legislation.
Sure. I think first we need an inclusive education policy. And I think this awaiting bill will be very rich, and I think it will have a number of issues that the people in this room are raising, because we need an education which is supportive to the persons with special needs. That is a different curriculum. I also want to encourage our institutions countrywide to copy Safaricom. Safaricom does employ, I think it has more than 200 employees now across all departments. In fact, I know a very senior officer with dyslexia, and even our brother here is at call center. So let our institutions, even us, personally, I have, I think, 3 persons with disability in my office. One is deaf, completely deaf, but she can write for you. Another one has another disability. Another one in the constituency has another disability. So even if it's a shop, I know one person at Isili who has employed about 10 deaf persons. I know was in Gishu County which had employed a number of people. So let's support our people. Finally, it is not lost. Let us not be very desperate as mothers and any other person. Let me encourage you that I'm also a person with a baby with a disability. And at one time, I honestly resigned because by the age of 2 years, I could no longer handle the work and handle the child. She had ADHD and she had dyslexia. Of course, these are hidden disability which you never know. So the child is just crying the whole night and you cannot sleep and you cannot do anything. And of course, by then, I wasn't even a mheshimiwa. So you can imagine, even the fights at the constituency, you are emotionally damaged by the child, and you're also physically and emotionally damaged by the other competitors. But I still see that I need both. Sure. I need my baby and I need to be in parliament. Yeah. Why do I really need to be in parliament? And as Kedipa, we are really encouraging and recruiting more members. And recently, the speaker has challenged us that we get out of Nairobi and we go to the counties, and we shall soon be doing that. J.F. Kennedy had a sister called Eunice Shriver, and she had a baby actually like mine. And this baby was, of course, a problem by then. She used her influence, the political influence, because the brother was the president of America then, and that's why America today is so advanced. So that's why I also fight so much with the Timu Wanyonyi and others like me to be in parliament, because even if I put sign language interpretation law, in one way or another it creates employment, in one way or another it gives you information. So let us create influence in our small way in every avenue, in every institution. And lastly, let me appreciate Royal Media. You are already doing awareness. As he has rightfully said, let's create awareness, all of us, the government, the church, ourselves, in our very small way, and finally we shall be there. Okay. Maybe the very final one, these domain names are really confusing and they are really problematic. They are sometimes giving stigma, sometimes they don't give dignity even to the person with the disability. I have already tabled a bill which I am making 3 amendments. The committee has already approved it. It's at I think it's about to be established, and this bill will be seeking from National Council and Ministry of Health to come with the proper names. They must be naming the right disability, because I expect Ministry of Health to have a whole department of research. It's up to them to know what my child suffers. Otherwise, my daughter's ID card is written mental, and you saw it the other day. So one time we went with her to Germany, and when she gave the card, of course, the officer was first afraid, because this is a mad person if you are mental. You know a case of a judge who almost lost a job, and I think indeed he lost because of that card during the interview. So these cards must be naming the disability rightfully. They give dignity, and we must do away with the traditional domain name. But I encourage you, all is not lost. Very many people have people with disability in their homes. Let's keep strong. Let's embrace awareness in our small way or in whichever way. Thank you.
And David, you're speaking of awareness, you have a charity run that's coming up. You can talk about that a bit as you give us your closing remarks.
My closing remarks. Thank you very much. The objective of our charity event on Saturday, coming up on Saturday, the 11th, that is this week. The longer objective is being achieved in terms of awareness and advocacy. And we said we want to bring all stakeholders together, because it is a responsibility of each and every individual. The media, and we thank you so much, Citizen and other media stations who are coming on board towards this drive. On the same, we have a minor objective, which is to address some of the barriers which they have mentioned. In our institution, we are facing the same. We need to do more outreach programs. Many families need to access this program. How do we do it? We need money. We need to address the issue of the bus, mobility. We are doing a 15-kilometer radius. We are having difficulties to access these families. That is why we say let's do the awareness campaign, but also we try to reach out to institutions, which we have done. We have reached out to state departments, to the government, so that we address this matter. And it is not unique to Don Orione alone. This matter is spread. It cuts across these DPOs. So we are appealing to the institutions that we have reached out, that you have received our letter of invite and request. Please join the campaign. We are appealing to His Excellency the President. These people here are becoming community beggars. There is something little that the state can do to push them. They are having challenges in terms of renting. They are having challenges in terms of reaching out, like I've said. So it is important that when we come out, we embrace. Please let us meet somewhere so that we can expand the network, because we have agreed we have a responsibility of all of us. I am appealing to Her Excellency, the First Lady. Mama is always doing good. She needs to go, she needs to continue with the good work. We are inviting her on that Saturday. She's a good cyclist. To do good on Saturday, let's create the awareness. Trevor is also invited to do the cycling. Okay? So we are also appealing to Honorable Alice Wahome. She's a friend of the center. His Excellency has come to the center. Yeah. Kids know him in person. So they are looking forward to see him when he's president. He came when he was vice president. All right. So basically, it is a general appeal to us and also to this institution, because we feel them. We have become a community of beggars on behalf of members of this society. Okay. We also commend the good work that the council is doing. We have partnered with the council in many ways, and a short notice, and it was here. Yeah. Because we told them, this is our role, all of us, and they appreciate it. Honorable Asante Sana, thank you so much. 5 minutes call, and she was here. Okay. And that shows the passion. Yeah. And finally, just a rallying call. I used the word of Honorable Member, Wanjiku Muya. She told us in the event, at the dyslexia awareness event, gala dinner, that until and unless you do something that will not benefit you directly, that is when you are living. Sure. Until you dig a well that you will not drink water from, that is when you are living. Until you plant a tree that will not shade you, that is when you are living. That is my parting shot.
All right. Thank you very much. Father?
Okay, mine also is to, actually, a lot of has been touched and said. Yeah. And mine is to, it's a call to the government to look at some of the things that are very expensive. For instance, the therapy equipment. We did recently have a field for autistic children, because they also need to play like any other child. But you look at the plastic equipment, they are way out of reach. They are preserved for the rich. If you go maybe to high-end schools, you find them there. To high-end hotels and restaurants, you find them there. But these things you cannot be afforded by, not affordable, no, in terms of for us as in small institutions. And the other things that are used for therapy. And the other issue is the issue of stigma, and we have mentioned the issue of awareness. Advocacy must be continued, and that's what as the Orione Community Training Center we are doing already. We invite each and everyone, the corporates. We are happy to say that some corporates are very sensitive to this. I want to thank some of those corporates that have actually almost immediately accepted our call. The Nokras Hotel Muranga, the Brandon Flowers, and the Citizen Television, KTN. I think a number of, there are some organizations that have almost immediately felt that this is our call, this is our job. It's not a duty of just the government alone. Yeah. So we invite everyone to join us, and I thank also the Bishop of Moranga, because he's very passionate about children with disabilities. He has been at the forefront. I mentioned the issue of the therapy we have over the holidays.
Okay.
So this is something unique, which began because of the passion he has. Okay. And as you said, the Catholic Church is not rich. Don't uses wisely what it gets. So we can assure you that whatever support we get, yes, we will actually be able to make good use of it. Okay. Yeah, and we call, for example, lastly to say the issue of the mobility. Yeah. We do have cover 104 kilometers every day. So imagine the cost of fuel, imagine the bus we have is limited. We have 52 children. The small bus that is almost one out of that 3-seater. So we are calling to the government and maybe to well-wishers. I'm sure there are good people out there. Okay. To come in and help us to serve these children. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. We really extended the time, but there's a few feedback that I'd like to bring in. But first, I'd like to thank you all for making time. Honorable Wanjiku Mui, a Member of Parliament for Kipipiri and Disability Champion in Parliament. Mr. David Omusi, National Coordinator, Lay Associates, Don Orione Mission in Kenya. Isaac Manyonge, Senior Disability Services Officer at the National Council for Persons with Disability. Father Gideon Ombori, Catholic Priest and Director of Don Orione Centre for Kaburugi. Faith, Cosmas, Karen, Grace, Rispa, Carol, Alice, Leah, Wanjiku, Mureithi, Ruth, Beatrice, James, Benson, all of you for making time this evening and speaking to us here. This is an important subject that definitely has to have a conversation around it all the time. Let's bring up what you're saying. Frank Orinde says the new registration for PWD failed midway. Personally, I applied for it more than a year ago and I'm yet to receive my card. The registration process is too slow. Okay, let's see what else you're saying here online as we wind up on this conversation. Sir Nixon says, unfortunately, many commercial houses are not suitable for PWDs. They lack facilities like ramps for those using wheelchairs, crutches, spacious toilets, low urinal bowls for every short man, talking elevators for the blind, etc. I mean, there's a lot that needs to be done still. Let's see if we can still squeeze in maybe one more here. And this is Nemo. Says, caregivers for PWDs need therapy for their mental health, I bet for a lifetime. What facilities and services is the government able to provide for them? Taking care of PWD is a heavy cross to bear. Okay?
It's very true.
All right. So squeeze in one last one here, and I hear the caregivers agree with you, Nemo. Ominde says the government officers are not compatible with all the persons with disabilities. I took my brother who is deaf and dumb for a national identification card registration, and the person taking the details could not attend. Okay? I believe those are all the issues that have been raised there online. And I want to thank you all for being here this evening. And Mr. Isaac Manyonge, you have your work cut out for you. We'll call you back here to keep stock of what is going on. Wanjiku Mui as well, being the champion of persons with disability in Parliament, will also call you back here and see what progress have been made. And thank you all for making time this evening. My name is Trevor Mbija. On behalf of the entire team that made this possible, we say good night and God bless.